that struggled badly before we really got going was, a lot of nights looking at the ceiling wondering what the hell I'd done. And a lot of trying to explain to my wife why it was we moved from St. Louis to California and the company was still struggling. So persistence is maybe one thing that's important out of that. Is that I've had the good fortune to be with some companies that were just really that honored and supported the ongoing commitment. And Rational would never have made it if it weren't for just the raw commitment that Mike Devlin and Paul Levy had when they founded the company. So there were a lot of cycles that didn't look nearly as good there. But I think more fundamentally maybe is that the thing that worked, I think, at HP was Dave Packard and Bill Hewlett had a view of what they wanted to create as a company and what they wanted that to be like for both their employees and their customers. And that vision was very attractive, and it had a way for every employee to make a contribution. So I think the first thing I look for in a job is this job going to enable me to do something that matters? And it may be, maybe monetary, it may be social benefit, but you want to be doing something that matters to you and that you feel like it's worthwhile. There's too many options now to do things, to not do something where there's a chance to contribute to make a difference. So, and a company that structures themselves in a way that gives you a chance to do that, or an organization, that's the first thing I'd say. The second thing I think that I realized in retrospect is every one of the jobs stretched and caused me and the other people that I was working with to have to grow and develop. So the job where where growth and development was driven not against, I want another credential, but I want to achieve something. In order to achieve it, I got to do something. And I think that's where the computer science will come from. It'll be not, some of it will be because people are just curious about new algorithms or new techniques. But part of it's going to be because I want to be able to analyze millions of medical records and a full genome and correlate the two, and I can't do that with current techniques. And so the desire to make that contribution is going to cause you to grow and develop and try to do new things that are difficult. So an environment where you get stretched, hopefully not too far, enough to have to achieve more, will contribute to that growth and development. And I think that's part of some of these application domains that can be really interesting, because it can be a new domain that turns on a completely new set of channels and thinking processes in you about the world. So looking at this medical analytics stuff, after having looked at software development tools specifically, it's fascinating, it's energizing. And then the third thing that I think is important in a career and environment that you work in is a high trust environment. Particularly when you're working in teams. So if if you're working on an idea and you're working with a business person and a domain expert, you better, by goodness, trust each other, or you're going to have a lot of problems. And I think that was one of the more interesting things at Rational was that we had a model of interaction with our customers that was a salesperson and 3 technical people working together. So the people that did the pre-sales also did the implementation. But if those 3 people didn't trust each other, we had a real problem. And we had some teams like that. We found there were multiple levels. So the first level was just ethical and honesty. And we had only one problem with that. We fired the guy that was our top sales rep 2 years ago for an ethics violation. And then we had maybe problems with that. But the other thing I think we realized was that in order to really have a high trust environment, you had to have a high level of competency. And so if you were going to be trustworthy to your teammates, you had to grow and develop in order to meet your commitments. And that stretch, that pushed back on the first 2. So the competency requirement was a big one. And then the third one, and I think this worked really, really well at Rational, was we had an objective to build the world's greatest software development tools company. And that was an objective from the very beginning. It was shared by everybody in the company. And it was both tools and it was how to apply them. And that meant you could trust that if somebody said they were going to do something, they were working the same direction you were working. So, so those 3 things. chance to contribute, make a difference, growth and development from the job itself, and a high trust environment. You know, I think are the things that most describe the environment that you want to work in. And then there's one other piece, which is, I think I found this out when I was doing the flight simulation stuff, and the other thing going on at the time was the early space work. And the mission sounded great in the early space work, but the job was, by and large, people grinding trajectory analysis on mechanical calculators. And so, you know, the third or the fourth piece I'd say is find a job that's got activities that you enjoy, find satisfaction in the activities. So what you're doing at 8 o'clock matters, what you're doing at 8:15 matters, and you know, every job will have a mix of things you like and don't like. But you've got to find a job that's got enough of those things that you just enjoy doing and that give you back energy. So for me, what I found out was, you know, sitting in the same room doing the same thing over and over again didn't work. But being out engaging with customers and seeing different environments with more variety was a huge energizer. So you know, I'd go out and work with some customer through a problem that would feel like it should be awful, but you'd leave feeling great because you'd solved the problem, you'd made a contribution, but it was an enjoyable activity. So those are the things that I think look for in the environment that you work in. Just about like everybody's job so far.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm up again. Before I continue with the scheduled events, I want to recognize one other industrial partner who somehow did not make the PowerPoint cut. And no, it's not this guy here.
I won't deal with this.
But I think that's the end of it. Well, we've got the awards now. Chris Bell, right? From Hungerbach, please stand. Okay, now the part of the evening that I always enjoy. Every time I do this, and I've been doing this for several years, this is the part that I just love the most, and I'll spend several days thinking about this. This is the time when I get to do two things that are really enjoyable. One, I get to recognize special people, one, our distinguished guest, and two, some of our very best students. And the second thing is that I get to give away a lot of money.
Especially give away other people's money.
That's you stole my punchline, Frank. That's not mine. That's what's so fun about it. So I'd like to first recognize our distinguished speaker, John Lovett. I'd like to present you with a distinguished plaque. And in all these years, that's the the first time I've been in one of these pictures. Oh, yes, it is. Okay, so we're going to start with